Section 2, creating a new ASP.NET MVC core project. Creating a new ASP.NET MVC core project in Visual Studios. What are we going to do in this video? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up Visual Studios, and we're going to look at the basic layout of Visual Studios. We're also going to start a new application, and with that new application, we're going to be able to look at the basic template that you use in an MVC application. So let's open Visual Studios. I've opened Visual Studios 2019 community version. That is what we had created, or what we had downloaded and put on our machine in the last set of videos. We're going to come down here to create a new project. And once we've clicked on create a new project, that will bring us into the create a new project window. We want to make sure that we are on ASP.NET Core Web Applications, C# as our language. And we are going to, even though there's many different choices here, we want to be very careful. There's even other languages here, like this is Visual Basic, so we want to be very careful. We're going to pick ASP.NET Core Web Applications right down here and click Next. And that will bring us to our Configure Your New Project page. In here, we're going to come in here and we're going to change the name of our project, and I want to call it Movies MVC. And I'm going to click Create. And that will bring up the Create a New ASP.NET Core Web Application window. Down here, notice there are quite a few other choices again. Empty project, API, a web application. We're going to pick web application, but we want the model view controller template. And notice this says in here a project template for creating an ASP.NET Core application with examples of ASP.NET Core MVC views and controllers. That's what we want. Also, this template can be used for a RESTful HTTP service. Over here, notice in the advanced, it's already checked for configure HTTPS. That, of course, means that it is already set up to be a web application. We're not going to click the enable Docker support here. If you're interested in Docker, there's lots of information on the Microsoft site. There's also lots of information out there on the web that you can go and access about Docker. Down here it says author Microsoft, but more important, it says source.NET Core, and I'm using 3.1.0. Now, you may be using a more modern version that is coming up now, a little bit different than mine. As long as we're in the .NET Core 3 point something version, this should be very, very similar without a huge amount of changes. So you can go ahead and use that. All right, we're going to click the Create button. And now it starts to build the template project files for us. And that's what it's done here. It's brought us to a landing page that says Movie MVCs. And on this landing page, as you can see, there's some choices here that highlight that are connected to the internet. And it has some more information. If you're interested, you're welcome to go out there and look at some of this other information that Microsoft provides for you. We're going to go ahead and close that. We're kind of interested in what's going on over here on the far right side, our project. And notice it says Movie MVC, which is what I named my project. It also says different files, but here's the three we're going to look at right now, and that is the controllers folder. That is where our controllers will reside. Models, and models are the exact same thing as classes. So when we talk about a class or a model, this is where they're going to reside in our program. And if we look right now, there's an error view model, but other than that, there's nothing there. And then also our views. And as of right now, there's a few just standard views that are inside that folder. And we'll look at that more. When you think of views, think of web pages, and that's where that HTTP comes in for us. Okay, so let's just go ahead and come up here. Here's IIS Express. We talked about that in our first series of videos. And we're just going to click that, and we're going to run this in IIS Express. And just run the basic template so that we can kind of see what it looks. Let me just pull that over here. This is the basic template here. It says welcome. I'll learn about building, and it says, talks about ASP.NET Core. Up here it says movie, MVC, and it's home, which is this page, and privacy, which is another page that's connected to this, part of that basic template. Down below, it shows a copyright and movie, MVC, and privacy. This is all just boiler template stuff that comes in that MVC template. Notice up here in our browser window, and I am using Chrome in mine, but notice it says localhost, and then it gives a number behind that. All this is IIS has created a virtual network for us, a virtual server, and is acting like the internet. We're not on the internet, but we are on a virtual version of it so that we can see what our project looks like and be able to play with it and alter our template and see what it would look like for our users. Okay, let's go ahead and just close that for now. And so we're back here to Visual Studios, and there's not much going on right now, but we're going to come in here, and I want to click on this controllers. Notice we have a home controller. And if I click that open, this is the basic inside of that home controller. We're not going to change anything or mess with anything in here right now, but we are going to add another controller. We come to our controller folder, we right click, and that will open up this browser window here. We're going to come down to add, and then we're going to come down here to new item. Okay, and notice there's a whole lot of choices there. For right now, just kind of follow along with me into the items that we want. And so we're going to click New Item, and that's going to bring up this Add New Item, MVC Movies here. And there we go. And so notice it says Controller Class, and that's what we're going to use right here. And so I'm going to click Add. And it went ahead and added this basic home controller in here. I want to rename that. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change the name. And I'm going to call this Hello World. It's going to ask me if I want to do this throughout. I'm going to say yes. And now it's changed the name of my controller to Hello World. Notice here in my controller, it has just a basic iAction index return view. Now, we have not put a view in here that says Hello World, so it would not have anything to be able to send back to the browser if we requested this. And if you think about it, a controller, what it does for us is it acts as a traffic cop. So when we send a request from our browser, when our user sends a request, the controller is what says, okay, what am I going to do? What web page am I going to send them? What information am I going to send them? And that all is what happens because our controller takes charge and basically sends information back to our user. All right, well, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add some other code in. And in my case, I'm going to just highlight everything. I already have my code written. So I'm going to paste it in here, and then I'm going to have you get a chance to type that in. So here it does say using Microsoft ASP.NET Core.MVC, and then system.textencodingweb. Namespace is, I have to change that because I capitalized mine, and I did it backwards. Let's change that to movie. So anywhere that I've put that in there incorrectly, I'll have to change that. Okay, so I changed that to movie MVC controller. So now, and it's in the controller file, Hello World controller. And here I put in public string index, and then inside the curly brackets, return, this is my default action. And that's what, if I just tell it to go to Hello World, in our server, it's going to print this out. I'm going to show you that here in just a minute. This is my default action. And then down here, we've put in public string welcome. And inside those curly brackets, return, this is the welcome action method. Now, there's no views that this controller is sending any of this traffic to. So when we get traffic from the browser, it's going to send it to one of these two places if we tell it to send it to Hello World, okay? And so I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to do real quick. So just kind of get in the habit of this as you're writing code. I want to go up and click the Save All button. Notice this yellow line that was over here now turns green. That means this is all saved. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click the Build button and I'm going to say Build Solution. And the first time I build a solution, I just hit Build Solution from this Build button. And that's basically testing it to see if the code would compile. If there was an error, it would show me that the error down here in the output, and I could open that up and take a look at that and see what that error is. But right now, everything built fine. The next time I do this, I'll want to click the Rebuild Solution button. And the reason why is the Rebuild Solution button, number one, it will clear the memory of the last time that I ran the program. It'll make sure there's no excess stuff in there, and that's a good thing to get in the habit of doing on your second run. Okay, let's go ahead and just run this. And as I run it, now notice nothing looks different on here. Everything looks the same as the last time we ran this. So we're going to come in here, and I just want to tell it, I pasted in that Hello World. I hit enter, and notice what it says here in the window. This is my default action. And if you remember correctly, when we were over here and I was in my controller, it said if I requested Hello World, that it should give me, this is my default action. And that's exactly what it did. This is my default action. Okay, so that worked the way it was. And if you also remember, in that same controller, we said, Hello World, welcome. Okay, go ahead and just, if you want to, copy that. And let's go back over here to our browser, and let's highlight that Hello World piece again, and paste. And there it says, Hello World /welcome. And if I hit that, notice this changes. It says, this is the welcome action method. So what we've seen is, as our user requests things, clicks on buttons or whatever, it will request information from our controller, and our controller, acting as a traffic cop, will handle that piece of information that it's been given, and it will make a change to the browser based upon that. All right, we've added a controller. We've seen how to alter our controller so that it will do a couple of different things.